I think one of the biggest flaws in the system is not preparing youth enough for the real world.
Give them the time, your time, to teach them to be independent.
Foster kids are a lot more resilient than people give us credit for.
Even though I am in DSS custody, that I can still make the most out of myself.
Since I don't have everything I need, it's very stressful because I have 3 months to get a car, to get a place to stay, to get a full-time job, filling out a bunch of job applications. I'd never done that before. So I'm staying with my aunt. I had to ask her all sorts of questions to learn how to fill out the applications and to be presentable, and it's just really hard.
For the 3 years that I was in foster care, I had everything I needed. I was in a group home and they gave me everything. I didn't have to really do anything for myself other than, wash clothes or bathe myself. That was pretty much it. Everything was handed to me. And now nothing's handed to me. I, got to go out on my own, look for a job. I've got to learn how to do things on my own that I was never taught because, everything was just handed to me. So I can definitely say that I am not prepared for the real world at all.
Help teach your children or your foster children what to do instead of doing it for them. Mm-hmm. Because most people, they don't just learn by watching, they have to do it, and you have to instruct them. You cannot expect a person in foster care to know everything about what they're doing, because most of the time they haven't had somebody to teach them, and people, I think, just take that for granted.
I moved so much that you'll be in a home and you make mistakes and you do stuff that's wrong, and then you just move to a different home. So you get this mindset of, oh, well, if I mess up and if I, screw this situation up, I'm just going to go to another one. And so I think that it's, a system where, every time you mess up or every time something goes wrong, you're just put into a whole new situation. But in the real world, that's not how it works. And it kind of just doesn't prepare us fully for, what happens in the real world after you age out.
When they age out, they just kind of say, you're 18, okay, bye, figure it out on your own. I was never taught how to do any of the stuff that you need to learn how to do when you become an adult.
Usually once a month, a kid in their team meeting, their team, their social their social worker and their guardian ad litem and their therapist and whoever else, basically their group of support people, they all have this big meeting where they discuss what's happened that month. I feel like kids, need to be a part of these meetings, because I started going when I was like 14, and that's helped me be in so much more control of my life.
I will say, continuing on what we were talking about, that I think sometimes we forget about the poor little old foster parents too, and forget to see their side of the story. And we all know that some of us are a bit of a hot mess, and that we can be a handful sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's kind of funny how it's a mirror image of what we feel and how we feel, oh, we're not being prepared for all this stuff. And I mean, I'm sure that no foster parent that I encountered was prepared for me. So
With foster parents, I've been in a bunch of foster homes, and no matter if they grew up the same as you, they'll always try and put themselves in your shoes, and it's really hard for them to understand. And I feel like as us coming into their house, we don't quite meet. We didn't grow up with each other. So there's always that constant struggle of trying to understand one another and also learn together. And it's just really hard to meet that, so you always have to have communication.
Something that I feel is very important to achieve any goal is having a good support system. I didn't have a lot of that when I was younger. I wish I did. Yeah, that would really help out, just people to encourage you and to push you to your limits and know that you can do it. There's no shame in going to your foster parents or foster parents coming to your kids and saying, what are your fears? What are you afraid of? What do we need to work on together to get through this? I think communication is key for that, to figure stuff out together along the way.
The advice I would give to a person a couple years younger than me would be to go to school, finish school, get a job.
My goal for me right now is to get a higher GPA, and I'm taking a risk right now doing honors classes just to higher my GPA and stuff. So yeah, just take risks, take chances to pursue your dreams.
the advice that I would give to someone who is in the same situation as me, who was a couple of years younger, is I would definitely sign a CARS agreement. I would choose to stay in a more stable environment and in a more stable home as long as I could. I feel that that would better improve how life would turn out in the long run.
An obstacle for me being in foster care to move on to independence is driving. Since I'm living in a group home, they have regulations by, oh, you can only drive this car with this person. And it's hard if I'm doing sports, doing after school extracurricular stuff, to help me educationally. And then to hear that I have to drive with one specific person when I never ever see that person, it's just a struggle.
Like having to move from place to place and not always knowing like when you're going or like how long you'll be at a certain house. That like it doesn't make it easy to like feel stable and learn what you need to learn in that time period.
I feel like some of the biggest barriers for me is I would always be moving because I would always either mess up or somebody didn't like me in the house, or I mean just constantly not being stable. And then when I did feel comfortable, I had moved so much before that I would start running away or pushing them away because I wasn't used to it and I didn't get shown enough love from somebody. Mm-hmm. And also with the whole decision making, I feel like before foster care, I did have some issues that I needed to work on, and they've come back, wanting to go out and party all the time, and you just have to realize what the big picture is, and you always have to look up and say, what do I want with my life? Because if you don't, then it's not going to end good.
I feel like a foster kid needs constant reassurance that you love them. I've been in my foster home and I'm about to be adopted. I've been there for like 2 years. And I still need to hear sometimes that I'm not going anywhere. Like, it still hasn't sunk in that that's gonna be my home forever.
There's so much going on in our heads and so much going on in our lives that, when we do move and when we do find different families, even if that family is doing all that they can to help you, it's just harder for us to let them in because, we've had so many people come in and just trample on our hearts and then say, all right, well, there you go, have at it. Go to the next place. And that definitely gets hard, and that's definitely a barrier that I think that can be fixed if, a foster child or a youth in foster care just understands that this is just temporary.
Something that helps me a lot overcome obstacles is to get different opinions, because it's not always going to work out if you think you can do it one way. But if you get more opinions, you're more open-minded to take different, routes and different pathways.
Me building walls throughout my life have, ruined relationships for me. I've pushed family away. I've pushed people I loved away. I pushed my own mom away. And, walls aren't a good thing. At times they can be, to hide your fears and your hurt. But when they come down, it's like a light shines through. People see the real you. And very few people have seen, the real me, because I've been hurt so many times. So I definitely think foster parents need to see that. You're not always going to see the light in your foster children, especially if they've been hurt.
There were 3 or 4 homes where I didn't know anything was going wrong. I didn't know anything that was happening. And, I either figured it out on my own, by doing stuff I probably shouldn't have. But anyway, I had to figure it out on my own, or, I was just told you're moving tomorrow, or, this home is just not working out. And a lot of times it was for little stuff. If they had just come to me and told me these things, I would have tried to work on it better because, that was my home. That was my life. I would have done anything to keep that, intact.
Foster kids are a lot more resilient than people give us credit for. I feel like people think that since we've been through so much already, that we're not up for taking anything else, but really that just makes us better than we already were.
Stronger.
And stronger. I think it's a real case of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I feel like people think that just breaks us down, when really it builds us up. And that's why a lot of communication doesn't happen, because they're worried about, well, maybe it'll hurt their feelings, when really, in all honesty, it would take a lot, because we've been through so much. Mm-hmm. And we're used to, it's a bad thing to say, but a lot of us are used to being hurt.
I can definitely see where aging out is scary, because for me it was terrifying. You have a spark in your eye when you leave DSS custody, you know what you want to do, but then when you finally get out, it's like that spark's gone. You don't know what to do, especially if you don't have what you need to survive.
I feel like my biggest fear is not being able to support myself. And also, me and my friend, we just signed a lease she did so we could share the rent when I get out because it's coming up. And I think that scares me because we're friends and I just want to make sure it works. Also, I don't want to go crazy. I don't want to relapse. I want to work hard, go to school, and do the best that I can. I know some of my old friends. I just need to keep my distance, no matter how much I care about them or love them. Some things you just need to leave behind.
One of my biggest fears is failing, because I'm that type of person that I want to prove everyone wrong and make all my family proud. Like, I'm just that type of person, and I feel like whenever I go into the real world, I'm going to fail, and then everything's just going to go downhill from there. So,
someone told me a story about a book that they read, and a little excerpt from the book. It says in the book that when you're riding a bicycle, if you see a rock or an obstacle up ahead, that if you keep focusing on that rock and like, I'm going to hit that rock, I'm going to hit that rock, you're going to hit the rock. So what you have to do is you have to think, I'm not going to hit that rock. I'm going to go around it. I'm going to be fine. And so I feel like that's something that everyone can do, is just focus on the good things and the positive things in your life, and not so much about obsessing with all the things that you're afraid of and all the things that you think are going to happen to you. Nothing ever turns out like you think that it will. But regardless of the fact that I'm not anywhere near where I wanted to be when I was your all's age, I'm still happy. And I'm still content with where I am, and I know that I'm eventually going to get to all the places that I want to be. So even if sometimes life takes you off course and you go off-roading onto a completely different path, I think that as long as you're happy and stable and, not in prison, that's nice, that you're doing okay. And that's my biggest goal for when I'm 30, is that I want to be helping people and I want to be okay.
in 5 years from now, I will be 21, legal drinking age. But that does not mean anything, because I am not going down that path. But I hope to be in college, following my dream as being something in the agricultural career, and have internship and having some kind of, job to keep me stable.
I feel like where I want to be is I want to be in college and close to graduating and have some kind of internship or job offering in the field that I want to go into, which is culinary arts, because I really like to bake a lot.
In 5 years, I see me hopefully with a family, a good job, because by that time I'll have some college on my hands and I'll be able to get a good job. But I see me at least working on my master's in social work and having my bachelor's in Spanish already.
I want to be independent, out on my own, already almost through with college, if not through. I don't know what I want to be yet, but maybe I'll have a husband, boyfriend. I don't know what I want, but hopefully I will be successful and doing good and making good money and just striving to be a good woman. Some advice that I would give foster parents is just have an open heart, have an open mind, be really social with them, and be understanding. Because all those are key things that you need to, have a good relationship with your foster children or your biological children even.
Foster kids need so much more than a bed to sleep in and a warm house in the winter. They need like constant care and support and love and tons of communication and reassurance. Your foster children will push you to see what your limits are. And most of the time they are trying to push you to see if you really care and to see if you're gonna be there for them through the end of it all and how much you really care about them, because they know that if they push hard enough, that most of the time, like, you'll break. And you have to know that they're not pushing you because, like, they want to leave. They're pushing you because that's the only way that they know. They're just so used to having relationships go badly that they don't know how to build a healthy one or like a long-lasting one, because they never really had any stability or like been in one place long enough to have a stable relationship.
Treat your foster kids the same. I know a lot of families that treat the biological children better or always pick sides, and all a foster kid wants most of the time is to just be loved and just be treated like a human being, because that's what we are. We're no less than you or anyone else. We're just people.
There's always a story that I tell about my sister. The first day that I ever met my sister, she was going to go check out wedding cakes. And it was the first day that I ever met her. I had literally known her for an hour, and we drove in the car, and we got to the place where we were picking out the wedding cakes. And when we all went in, the lady came up and said, "Hi, Claire, we were speaking over email. I'm Regina," or whatever her name was. And then my sister was like, "This is my mom, this is my, fiance, and this is my brother." Like, didn't miss a beat, and everyone that I had ever lived with didn't ever hesitate to call me their foster son or their foster brother. And that was one of the experiences that I will never, ever forget, because that just let me know that she immediately accepted me. And I would say to all foster parents, be real and be upfront with them, and just appreciate the time that you do have with them, and be their parent and let them be your child.